In this video, I want to talk a little bit about the VA home loan and foreclosure, specifically buying a home after you've had a foreclosure. So, if you've experienced foreclosure, the good news is that you actually can buy a home again, but there are several rules to keep in mind, and I'll go through those right now. First thing to know is that there are a lot of lender overlays. Certain lenders will have rules that are over and above what the VA requires. Luckily, because I am a full service mortgage broker, I have lots of options. I do have low overlay and no overlay lenders that can help. First thing to know is that there is a waiting period on a foreclosure, and I'll get to that in a sec. But the date of the foreclosure, for the purposes of the waiting period, is based on the date that the deed transfer was filed at the county, that it went out of your name and went into the lender's name, or when is the name of the person that was at the sheriff's sale. It's not the date of the sheriff's sale. It's not even the date they took possession. It's the date it actually went out of your name on the county records. And this is important because I've seen situations where, maybe there was a sheriff's sale and they waited 2 or 3 or 4 weeks to file it, sometimes months or years, believe it or not. And this is for any foreclosure situation, not just VA, that it's the date it actually came out of your name and went to the lender's name. Now, how much is that waiting period? So typically on a foreclosure, it is a 2-year waiting period on VA, which is actually nice because FHA is 3 and conventional is much longer. And so on VA, it's only 2 years. Now, there is a extenuating circumstance for foreclosures where it actually gets reduced down to 1 year. You might be saying, well, how does that work? And that is if there is a situation where there is either job loss or a medical issue, or the other one is if you have an inability to sell the property and you're taking a loss on it, like that kind of scenario. Luckily, right now, values are still going up, so we're not in any of those situations. But sometimes there's a real estate crash. There's certainly situations where you're taking a loss on the property, and those could be also considered extenuating circumstances. The other thing to keep in mind is that the foreclosure will stay on your entitlement record if it was a VA foreclosure. And that could affect your entitlement depending on how much the new house is. That could affect, you can still buy a new house, but it might affect your ability or your need for a down payment on the new house. So you might not be able to zero down depending on, and it depends on how much that old foreclosure was for, and also depends on how much the new house is for and remaining entitlement. That's a whole different conversation, but you definitely need to keep that in mind. Now, other thing to know is you could possibly settle that foreclosure. And I've seen situations where people settle that foreclosure for pennies on the dollar with the VA after the fact to get that entitlement cleared. Now, is it worth it? Possibly. It depends. You have to decide if the amount of your entitlement is really capped out and you have a huge down payment due for the next house, it might be worth it to do that settlement. So I always suggest that people call the VA and get a settlement amount and then decide from there whether it's worth paying off. So those are your VA guidelines for buying a home after foreclosure. As always, if you have any questions about VA guidelines or mortgages or anything in general, feel free to give me a call. My number is 937-572-3713. That's where it's scarpro.com. Talk to you soon. Bye.